Valor Mortis is an upcoming first-person melee action game with an interesting twist that'll either leave you wanting more or groaning at the mere thought of it. And the twist is, it's a Souls-like. Now, before you roll your eyes and toss it aside, I suggest you try this one even if you have zero interest in the Souls genre. Being a first-person Souls-like, it provides a perspective we've not really seen before in this type of game, and by that I mean in a modern sense. Yeah, you could make a case for the Kingsfield games, but these games are a bit dated and rudimentary in design. By the way, Kingsfield is also a From Software title, the original Dark Souls you might say. But getting back to Valor Mortis, this is the ambitious new title from the Ghostrunner developers One More Level. And while they may not have much experience developing Souls-likes, they do have a firm grasp on what makes an FPS game feel fun and satisfying, as evident by the well-received Ghostrunner and its sequel. And herein lies my faith with this game. The core combat loop consists of close-range swordplay that rewards well-timed parries and dodges, all the while balancing your limited stamina. Pulling off said feats allow the player to deal massive damage. Dodging the unblockable attacks indicated by the red glow allows you to sneak in a flurry of quick swipes. On the other hand, a well-timed press of the block button will render most common type enemies susceptible to a huge counterattack or critical hit. Stronger enemies will require a few parries before you're able to break their stance. In that sense, the game has more in common with Sekiro than it does Dark Souls. Another similarity to Sekiro is the attack button doubles as light and heavy attack. Tap for light attacks and hold for a heavy attack that consumes more stamina. Though when it comes to taking damage, we see a system more similar to Lies of P, in that blocking attacks with your sword will retain a bit of health while affording you a small window in which you can reclaim some of it by attacking the enemy. On your adventures, you'll come across many weapons that you can equip in your left hand. In this short demo, we only get our hands on 2, but if you pull up the radial wheel, you'll see slots for about 9 different weapons. The first one we get is a standard pistol. This acts more as a utility type weapon more so than a damage dealing one. By now you've noticed the giant cysts growing on some of these enemies, and shooting these will cause them to pop, dealing major damage to the host and yielding neftoglobin, but more on that in a bit. This is the primary use of the pistol, but you can also use it to deal minor damage to enemies, as well as clearing certain pathways and triggering environmental hazards. The second weapon though is way more interesting, because it introduces a more supernatural twist into the mix. This is a transmutation. It allows you to shoot fire from your hands in a far-reaching fan. Apart from burning your foes to a crisp, you can also use it to burn these weird web masses to uncover secrets and blocked pathways. This transmutation requires neftoglobin, this purple gooey substance, represented by the purple bar on your HUD. As I mentioned, you can refill your bar by popping zombies' pimples, or you can simply slash enemies with your sword to regain a small amount with each hit. This allows you to become more liberal with the use of your magic or neftoglobin, which in my opinion makes for a more exciting and fun experience. So often in Souls-likes are we limited in supply and hesitant to use magic for fear of wasting them too quickly. Same goes for bullets. Enemies drop them regularly so you don't have to be stingy with them.
Created this beast.
Now let's get into the gameplay loop and exploration. Valor Mortis has you play as a soldier of Napoleon's army, and you suddenly awake from the dead, but what's even more strange is that you can hear Napoleon's voice in your head, demanding you get up and push on. What this means for the story is a bit too early to tell, but you get the sense that he's controlling a hive mind, and what that means for our protagonist William is yet to be seen. As you progress, you'll come across other zombie-like soldiers who seem to lack the same agency as William and will attack on sight. The game itself plays in a linear fashion as you make your way from lantern to lantern, a sort of checkpoint where you can upgrade and adjust your character build. You'll often come across short side paths that reward you with little glimpses into the past in the form of ghostly apparitions and provide a bit of context to the surrounding area. Otherwise, you'll come across notes that flesh out the world, but sometimes you'll find these little buffs called ambers, which can dramatically change up the way the game plays. In the demo, you're only allowed to equip one at a time, with further upgrades allowing you to equip multiple. I ended up finding about 5 of these, and I was surprised by how much they alter your playstyle. For example, one might slow down time whenever you aim your gun, allowing you to make every shot count. Another interesting one allows you to heal while dealing damage, making for a great option if you play aggressively. This, by the way, is how I beat the boss the first time. The second time, I chose an ember that converts my healing items to Neftoglobin, which also altered the way I receive healing. Now dealing fire damage would heal my character, so I ended up playing more at range with short flurries of sword swipes in between. Contrast this with my first run where I played more up in their face, relying on parries and counters to deal damage. Switching between these embers changed how I approach the encounter, and it gets me excited for the prospect of unlocking the full range of upgrades to see what kind of broken and overpowered build I can come up with. But that's gonna be it for this one. I want to thank you if you made it this far, and if you like these kinds of videos, why not drop a sub? You know, I'd really appreciate it. Also, I wouldn't mind a like to appease the YouTube gods. But on a serious note, I'd really appreciate it if you stick around. And I got Silent Hill F coming up if that interests you in any way. I mainly do horror, but I cover all types of games, anything that piques my interest. So if that's also your type of thing, you know what to do. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.